Welcome to the Alternative Dog Moms podcast. I'm Kimberly Gauthier, creator of Keep the Tail Wagging. I've been blogging about raw feeding, pet wellness, and life as a crazy dog mom for more than 10 years. I've seen massive improvements in my dog's health since I began raising my dogs naturally, and I'm passionate about sharing my experience to help other pet parents.
I'm Erin Scott from the Believe in Dog podcast. For more than 10 years, I've been researching and learning everything I can about healing cancer, allergies, autoimmune, and mystery illnesses in both my dogs and myself. And I can't wait to share with you everything I've learned in case it could help you too. As the Alternative Dog Moms, Kimberly and I are bringing you all the latest dog health news that we're following and the brilliant people we're meeting along the way. Now let's get started. Hello, Kimberly.
Hello, Erin.
We have a guest today. I'm really excited. Welcome, Carter.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So we have Carter Easler from CBD Dog Health, and we are going to totally nerd out, especially for those senior dogs today.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we love starting off with a good origin story. Can you tell us how you got into this field?
Oh, man. I mean, I really have always been passionate about functional medicine and really looking at just a layered way to approach health for myself and for my animals. I mean, I've pretty much had a dog in my lap since I could have one as a kid. And I come from a really more kind of Western style family of veterinarians. There's a ton of vets in my family. And so that's really where I sort of kind of got my first basis of knowledge. But then it just, as I learned more and as I studied on my own and got passionate about cannabis medicine and mushrooms and their historical use for thousands of years, I just started kind of adapting my philosophy and grew. And then it sort of met this serendipitous meeting between myself and Angela Ardolino, the founder and formulator of MycoDog and CBD Dog Health, and got to live and work on her senior dog rescue in Florida and sort of see in practice all these things that I was learning about, being like, yes, look. And that dog is walking again after coming in here complete with terrible dysplasia and inflammation. And that dog is making eye contact again after it was so confused, and being able to really just see these modalities in practice. And so I've been working and really studying the research in this field for about 7 years now, and kind of being a loudmouth and talking about it wherever I can, and to this year being able to publish our first piece of clinical research and being one of the principal investigators on that has been just an incredible journey, and I've learned so much, and yeah, can't wait to do more.
So what are those family holidays like when
exactly
all Western medicine?
Man. Well, I have learned to take a gentle approach and just, slide a piece of research across the table or use leading questions like, so what is the main ingredient in that food? It's corn? Oh, good. That's so weird that they're having these crazy allergic reactions. And anyway, yeah. Here, try these mushrooms.
Pass the cranberries.
Yeah, just try that. Exactly. No, it's gotten heated before, and like I recently was like, I sent my sister-in-law a message because their dog was not doing well, and we were chatting back and forth about it. And I sent them an article that I'd written that was directly addressing this issue with all of these like sources cited, explanations, references to vets who talk about this. And the conversation, like suddenly the bubbles on the message stopped. I was like, okay, well, I know it's delivered.
So you haven't been able to convert anybody?
Well, no, slowly but surely. There's definitely places where they have softened and are learning. And I just don't want to ever make anybody feel stupid or like they're not where they should be, because I am still learning, like I do this every day. This is what I focus on all the time. And I'll wake up on a Monday morning and somebody will have sent me some research and I'm like, well, this changes things, and I think that is so necessary for all of us in this space and in life to be flexible and to keep learning. So yeah, I try to be gentle with people while still, I'm a gentle but firm force.
At Speedrail, I did the panel again, and I came back and I did just a short video on Instagram that I was just really disappointed in the panel this year because, and it wasn't the panelist, it was me, because I had an opportunity to push back on something and I didn't.
Oh.
And what it was, I think
that doesn't sound like you.
I know. Well, I was just caught off guard because I thought the conversation was going to go in a different way and we were running out of time. And I was just like, gosh darn it, it was a missed opportunity. And basically it was about, at what point in time do we kind of like let go of the gentle approach? Because I can understand that with people, but with other veterinarians, and start kind of holding them accountable for them seeing the repeated illnesses and still not accepting the fact that maybe there's a better chance or opportunity to heal the dogs. What are your thoughts?
Well, some people are just not going to change. Some people are rigid in their beliefs, or they're overwhelmed and they don't have the time to. And we've heard that over and over again. That's constantly the reasoning behind it. And to me, it is just a reason to find your people. Don't stop begging people for acceptance and let the right people come to you. If your vet is not even open to hearing you about these things that you're working with that are changing your life and your animals' lives, there are resources out there. I know that there are a lot of people in small towns and places where you might not have the best integrative or holistic vet, but there are organizations like the American Holistic Veterinary Association, AHVMA. There are a lot of really great integrative and functional vets that are online that you can work with. Like I live in Brooklyn, New York, and there is not a great holistic vet.
Really?
There are vets that I work with that are awesome, that are in New York City, but like Queens is not Brooklyn. That is, I
guess I thought that would be like a hotbed.
The Q train to the 7. No,
that's what I thought too. Of course, my world is, when it comes to New York, my New York is just from movies and TV. I have never been to New York. So that's what I thought Brooklyn was like, really kind of, woo woo. And
it's super woo woo, but there's definitely a lag in the pet world. Like even the pet stores around me, the selection of fresh food is so weak. It's so weak. And so like I have my vet here who, if something is really wrong, then I've got that person that I can go to in a pinch. But otherwise, I'm working online with the vets in my community, and I imagine that that's what a lot of people are doing. But I think that's good. That gives you multiple perspectives, and you can have more specialized care when you can talk to folks that have experience directly in what you need help with.
Yeah.
So Kimberly and I both have our senior dogs, and we were really excited to hear about the study. So tell us how this all unfolded and what you were looking at.
Yeah, well, we've wanted to do research and produce peer-reviewed papers for a long time. And it, starting from back when we were on the farm and seeing dogs with CCD and cognitive decline, or just sort of the myriad of age-related symptoms and conditions that our dogs inevitably go through as they get older, and having these amazing results using natural modalities, herbs, fungi, cannabis medicine, and then kind of, as we were talking about, like coming to the table with veterinarians who would say, well, there's just not enough evidence to support that. I can't recommend that. And rather than just screaming at them and saying, well, this has been used for thousands of years. This is the original medicine. We're like, fine. All right. If this is the arena that we got to play in, then let's do it. And so almost 2 years ago, it was a year and a half ago, we first kind of initiated this and discovered this vet, Dr. Joel Ahrensweig with the Veterinary Health Research Center, whose specialization over the last 10 years has been studying cognitive decline in senior animals. And admittedly, he's way more Western than we are. But that kind of layer of skepticism, I think, really helped us. You know, he really tried to temper my expectations in the beginning. It was like, well, you know, the best that we can hope for. He'd be so mad if he heard me imitating him. The best that we can hope for is that there's no change, is that things don't get worse. And I was like, well, Joel, I mean, that is not what we're hearing. And I can tell you about a number of cases who've had really incredible experiences. That is the precedent right now. And he's like, oh, okay, we'll see. So I've been really happy as our data has come in to be able to kind of prove him wrong. And he's like, through all of the different things that he studied, he's like, I've never seen this much change so quickly. But through the process, it was really just important for us to make sure that we were doing good science. That's why we brought him on. We wanted somebody who really understood how to build a clinical study so that it is airtight, so that it is respected not only by the veterinary community, by the scientific community, but also digestible for pet parents, and kind of melding those worlds. And so we spent a long time designing this, building it out, and then just finished our cohort in August and have published officially as of September.
Oh, wonderful. So how many dogs were in the study?
So we sampled a group of dogs. We had 600 applicants thereabouts, and whittled that down to 30 dogs across geographic locations, across income levels. I mean, people who are doing the best they can with the, additions to their kibble, feeding up to, the best fresh, raw, species appropriate diets. We've got dogs aging or ranging in age. I think our youngest dog was 8, our oldest was 17, but tracking them on really standardized, validated, objective and subjective forms of measuring this condition. So of our 30 dogs, we had a small group of them that unfortunately, because of other comorbidities and family situations too, had to drop out. I mean, so some people are really excited to be part of a study at first, and then they go, I have to take the kids to soccer practice.
And so these were dogs that already had a diagnosis of canine cognitive disorder?
Not all of them. With this condition, it is what I think it's so important for us to be talking about it is it can be kind of a sleeper. It can be kind of hard to notice these changes without just kind of chalking it up to, oh, she's getting older. And so what we were able to do with this large group is whittle it down to dogs based on a very specific criteria. This framework called, the acronym is DISHAA. And it is this sort of validated long list of questions that is able to quantify and define the behaviors that surround CCD. So disorientation, interaction, anxiety, house soiling, really, and just kind of pinpoint these behaviors. I mean, one of the primary things that we see and that we studied in this piece of research was sleep and activity, seeing what their rest looks like in a really detailed way. How long are they sleeping? How much of it is deep sleep versus, they're stirring slightly? How many interruptions throughout the night? How many times are they getting up to go to the bathroom? And then during the day, what's their activity like? Is there vigorous activity? Are they just kind of lazy? Are they pacing? And so that is how we were able to, without oftentimes a veterinary diagnosis from their own practicing vet, to be able to really kind of help them to discover what their dog is going through.
And sometimes we hear it called sundowners, right? Because it affects their sleep, it's like they have the opposite sleep patterns.
Yes. Yeah, that goes hand in hand often. And that really was kind of one of the primary shifts that we saw in the dogs that were in our study. I mean, being able to have that detailed picture of what their nights look like, the dogs that do better are the ones that we see the largest increase in sleep time, reduction in sleep interruptions, greater activity during the day. And then what's really cool is being able to then match that objective data, these just kind of hard numbers, up with the pet parent's experience. You know, that the dog is more interactive, more interested in play. So we can see, oh yeah, Buffy did have, 5% more vigorous activity this week as compared to last, and it's trending upwards the longer that we're on this. So that's why I think it's so important to have, not people kind of will poo-poo subjective data, and that's what they always say, like, oh well, we need the objective data, and I agree with that, but that subjective piece of it really allows us to ground it in a three-dimensional human experience of this condition that is really personal and can be really kind of heartbreaking. You're watching your friend kind of fade away, and also that these behaviors and activities that we see in dogs with CCD can add a lot of stress to people's lives. I mean, when I'm not sleeping, when my dog's not sleeping, I'm not sleeping. And when I'm not sleeping, I'm crankier the next day and less focused and more confused, just as they are. And sleep is also just so important for healing and for balance and rest, as we know.
And so how long of a time period? So did you have like one group that was receiving the clarity? And then one group that wasn't?
So we did not do a placebo control on this study. It was more important for us to just really make sure that our cohort was well defined and just get the best dogs for the study that represent the vast array of different symptoms. And then to, using our different data measurements, have that be sort of the mosaic of evidence that accounted for kind of human error and potential bias. So, I mean, what's really amazing with our dogs is for them, there is no placebo effect. If they're feeling better, you can see it in their faces. You can see it in the way that they move, and it shows up in the data.
And how long of a time period did the study follow the dogs, the cohort?
Yeah, so it was about a 12-week course where we have a beginning period where there's basically a level set. We figure out what their baseline is before we change anything about how they're doing. We're monitoring their biomarkers via a 24-hour monitoring collar. Their owners are doing this 64-point validated survey every week through the process. And then part of our cohort, our in-clinic patients, were also measuring blood biomarkers at the beginning, middle, and end of the study to track those. So it starts with that monitoring phase. Then they start 2 weeks later, taking clarity twice a day, in the morning and at night. And then we monitor them for about an 8-week process there. And then there's a end phase where we just monitor them once they've stopped clarity.
Why did you decide twice a day?
Really, it's just about the half-life of medicinal mushrooms and their bioavailability. Generally, most of these bioactive molecules that we find in medicinal mushrooms are processed out of the body around 12 hours. A lot of the different polysaccharides, like the beta glucans and such. So by doing a twice daily approach, we're just kind of covering the whole day in a way that we can maintain blood concentration of these different actives.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so how many of the dogs had improvement?
It was pretty overwhelming. We were getting stories in every day, and these people contacting us and saying she's doing better. She's feeling like more like herself. She's making more eye contact. And so in the end, once we tabulated all of our data, there were 81% of our dogs in the study either had a stabilization in their condition or an improvement in their cognitive scores.
That is just amazing.
That is,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it really just kind of like puts a stamp on like these mushrooms are amazing. Like they are such incredible healers. And I'm so happy that we are in a place now where people are interested and we're learning about these. And I'm also kind of like, let's go. Come on. Let's go, people. See? Now let's make up for lost time, because we've got, we've had a total shift away from what was the original medicine and what our bodies and our pets' bodies have evolved alongside for millions of years. It is within us, and to use these natural modalities, they are integrated into our biology. And so the body knows exactly how to use them, and it just supports the function of all of our various systems in a way that is so gentle and balancing and can really help with comfort, quality of life, and longevity. So it's more than just a fix for something that's already happened, even though it can be used in those more advanced kind of acute phases.
Mm-hmm. And without side effect.
Yeah. I mean, we had no adverse reactions measured in our study.
That's amazing.
So can we talk about the ingredients in clarity? Because I think that's one of the things where mushrooms is an overwhelming topic.
Right.
And it's astounding to me because it's like 5 things.
Yeah. Lion's
mane, reishi, cordyceps, ashwagandha, and then what is this?
Bacopa monnieri.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is kind of a novel adaptogen that a lot of people don't know about. But Bacopa monnieri has been researched a lot in human medicine for its benefits to cognition, memory, sleep, and is one of these herbs that has nootropic properties. So the ability to induce neurogenesis, the creation of new neurons in the brain and central nervous system. It's a fantastic herb. It's a little bitter, but definitely worth taking your medicine.
Along with reishi. Reishi is another bitter one.
Yes, reishi is also a little bit bitter. But that's why I like it in the glycerin tincture, because the glycerin's a little bit sweet. But yeah, Bacopa monnieri, like lion's mane. Lion's mane is another one that these herbs and fungi are very rare in this therapeutic property. There are not a lot of natural or synthetic compounds that are able to induce neurogenesis. And so they are a gift, and we should be using them. Lion's mane is both neuroprotective and neuroregenerative. So just on a base level, being able to protect those essential cells in our brain and central nervous system that are responsible for communicating to the rest of the body through these electrical impulses, to be able to create new neural pathways and protect the ones that exist is central to helping our dogs age gracefully.
I think I need to take this myself.
Oh my God. I'm like, where's mine? Yeah. I take it every day.
And how best do you dose it? Because like with your CBD products, I learned from you and CBD Dog Health, and I do it till this day, is I add it to their mouth. And when it comes to CBD oil, that is where I've seen the biggest benefit. Yep. And with this, I've always just added mushrooms to meals. And is this the same thing?
So it is different, actually. So that's a great question. And the reason is just based on their constitution. Hemp extract is a fat, so it is an oil soluble, whereas mushrooms are water soluble. So that's why it's much easier for us to just put it in the food. With mushrooms, they're going to be very highly bioavailable. and be able to be digested and absorbed through the lining of the stomach, through the intestinal tract. And yeah, it's totally fine to dose it in that way. And what's really another kind of point about dosing that I find fascinating is where herbs and adaptogens, fungi sort of differ from pharmaceutical medicine is the therapeutic window is often much broader. So the necessity to land on a specific milligrams per kilogram dosage, the way that we would in pharmaceutical medicine, is much more relaxed. Where, if you with these isolated targeted molecules that are made in a lab, you have to land on this dosage, and if you're a little out of that range on the lower end, it doesn't work. If you're above it if you're above it, then it becomes toxic. And so you really have to nail it. Whereas with these adaptogens, you can kind of get in sort of a region of their dosage range, and it's going to have these same therapeutic properties. And to your point, Erin, earlier, the safety profile on them is incredibly high. You're not going to give so much that it's going to cause any damage on a cellular, tissue, or organ level. So it's great that we can have pretty standardized dosing. I think with mushrooms, we're going to give a little bit more to our bigger dogs, a little bit less to our smaller dogs and cats. But generally, we think of it more kind of as like a food. Mm-hmm. Think of it more like an organic compound of food that we're supplementing their body with.
And was Dr. Joel? I mean, so I imagine he was just blown away by this.
Yeah. He's I think we have a believer now. I think we've made some change for good. But yeah, I mean, he's like kind of a perfect representation of this old guard that still is learning and is open to gaining more insight. And sometimes it just takes somebody who's a little bit obnoxious and is like, well, how about this? What about that? Have you read this? Yeah.
And what journal was this published in?
So right now we're in pre-publication on ResearchGate. So you can go to seniordogstudy.com and we have the study link there with the full manuscript that you can read. I've been sending it out to all of the vets that I know and everybody kind of in the industry to get feedback on. And we're in the process of peer review right now.
Oh, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even like it's like the holistic journals, like it's a mainstream, like all of the vets journal.
Yes. I mean, well, that's where Joel's kind of experience has been. And the other clinical studies that he's published are all in JAVMA and in various veterinary journals. And that's, we love and nurture our holistic community, and we need to grow. We need to grow it. We need more people to watch your show and listen to your podcast and come on board.
I love that. So do you have any plans to do more studies?
Absolutely. Well, we're continuing to take submissions for the senior dog study. So if there are any listeners out there who have a senior dog that are curious, maybe they might be experiencing some of these symptoms, you can go to seniordogstudy.com. There's a button there where you can sign up. And then, so we will continue this study in greater capacity. And then, I'm not sure what our next research piece is going to be because we are all fighting for our baby. We all have our own ideas. I'd really love to study the benefits of various mushroom species on gut microbiome diversity.
Yes.
There's so many amazing properties of different mushrooms that have been shown to reduce the populations of E. coli and Salmonella while boosting the diversity of beneficial gut microbiota. So that is my baby. That's what I'm really pushing for. So
all right, we're on Team Carter.
I'll let you know. All right. Well, I'm going to start a petition.
Yeah. I love just the idea of the study because, I remember when Angela published a magazine that had the list, like the graph, the chart of the mushrooms and what they do,
Yes.
that really just sold me.
Yeah.
And I actually ripped it out and laminated it. And I take it places with me because it's my reference.
Yes.
And I have a senior girl. She'll be 12 next week. And she's doing fantastic. I mean, she looks like a senior dog because she has the white face. And she's a black dog, so she has a white face. So she looks like a senior dog. But I look at her and I'm just astounded just how you see the light in her eyes. And one of my dogs tore a hole in the fence. And so I was outside fixing the fence this morning and she was out there with me, just looking at me. And I was just like, well, what are you going to do? And she was barking at me and she's bouncing around and running around. And I'm like, look at you. Just like, look at you. And it's one of those things where diet is so very important, but it's not the only part of what we can do for our dogs. And I just think that this is so exciting. I actually filled out the questionnaire. And when I was filling it out, I realized how well she's doing. Because, everything, well, do you know? Nope, she's fine. No, she's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that knowing you, I think that she probably lives a really well-rounded life. And these conditions like CCD in our senior dogs, we have this amazing tool. We have these mushrooms like cordyceps and reishi and lion's mane that kind of, there's my loud dog.
But yeah, I've been giving my dogs lion's mane and cordyceps and reishi on top, for Zoe on top of Daily Dog because I wanted to make sure that she was covered and that and I've used the MycoDog products. In fact, I want to put Clarity on like a recurring because she is doing so well on it.
So I will tell you, with my old man, again, I have not had any concern about him having signs of this at all. However, you guys were so kind to send us some. Now, we do nose work with our dogs, and I have my sleeping girl next to me who's my competitor, but I do it around the house with Nino too. And so he never even learned this until about a year or so ago. And I was thrilled at like how quickly he picked it up. But I will tell you, I had a couple days last week where I was really busy because I usually try to do it like every other day. So we went like a longer period of time without doing it. And I've been giving him the Clarity this whole time. My God, he was on fire the last couple times I've done this. He's just like, bam, 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 bam. Like he's right on point. And usually when he starts slowing down, I'll stop the game. And it's like, he just wanted to keep going and going and going and going. And,
wow.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah. Even in dogs that aren't having like full blown symptoms, like there's still room for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw the same thing with not that same thing, but similar with Zoe, where she's a very vocal dog. She's a herding mixed dog. And I have a basket full of collars and dog collars because Apollo loves a good dog collar. And so I switch him out for him. And it's a variety of sizes because he's been doing this since he was a puppy. And the other day she came up to me when I pulled out the basket and just started barking at me. And I was just like, do you want a collar? She barked at me again. So I pulled out a collar and I just held it up because I'm like, this can't be happening. And she literally put her head onto the collar. This is a dog who's never worn a collar her entire life. But I guess she decided since everyone else in the house has a collar on, she wants a collar on now. And we're just cracking up because she's been wearing a collar for probably a day and a half now. And it's just like, it's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Just randomly. But she has become so really good at communicating. She's being more involved with the other dogs. I mean, she was before, But it's one of those where after giving this to her for just a week, I'm noticing just more engagement when it comes to playing with the other dog. She's running around. She's here. And it's one of those things. I think earlier, you were talking about how we just chalk things up to, oh, well, they're just getting old. There are probably slight changes that we notice in our dogs, but don't really compute what it means. And seeing this side of her come out it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it's so cool to see that change in real time and have it happen quickly. I mean, there are 3 people in the last 6 months that I have worked with who had euthanasia appointments scheduled for their old dogs.
Ooh.
And all 3 of these people canceled their euthanasia appointments because within days of starting to use these things, they started seeing changes. And it makes sense. I mean, there are some effects that you're going to get from mushrooms. You're going to see immediate changes in the anti-inflammatory effects of reishi and cordyceps, the helping to balance cortisol with ashwagandha for better rest at night. I mean, these things can happen pretty quickly. And then there are also some more long-term benefits, the immune modulation, the neurogenesis that kind of take a little bit more time, but really help to build up resilience in the long term. And just to your point, Erin, about with working with scent dogs, that it's fascinating to just understand how their biology and neurological composition is different than ours, and how important scent is to their brain function. We had a dog in our study as well who was sort of like the matriarch of this scent dog family. And she was 14. Her name's Jessie. And she was pretty moderate, severe cognitive decline that came on pretty quickly. And so she lost her ability to track. She wasn't able to do her old courses. And same thing, once she was getting on clarity, she was able to go out and do those again and lead them, the puppies that were with them. So really like functional changes in their life, in their behaviors, and these things that really give our dogs purpose, whether it is doing a scent course or, tearing up a beanie, these things that really allow them to be dogs.
I love it. I truly do. I think it's interesting because, especially in the rescue space, because both of us work in that as well, is you do see, which kind of breaks my heart, is people giving up on senior dogs. We get a lot of people who surrender their senior dogs, and we have a segment of our rescue that is focused on senior dogs. And Elizabeth, who is a huge fan of CBD dog health, has, had dogs come into her home that were given a couple months to live, and they're still with us 3-4 years later. And it's because she has changed the protocol. She and I talk about, just various supplements, trying to understand what we can do when it comes to chronic diseases naturally, and that's gentle on the dogs. And, it's astounding to me what a difference something as simple as cannabis or functional mushrooms can make. Because, one of the things that I think, people who can't let go of traditional medicine, and I always think of it as it's because they get an immediate, result. So if your dog is itching like crazy, you go and get a shot, suddenly your dog's not itching anymore. And it's hard to let that go. Whereas with functional medicine, it takes some time sometimes to see the results. But when you can see results in a week, I mean, that's astounding, especially when these results are ongoing and they're gentle on the dog system, and you don't have to worry about, you're getting results today, but a few years from now, your dog's liver is going to crap out because of all the toxins you've been putting in the body. I mean, that's just a no-brainer.
Right. It's interesting just to look at how the difference between how they actually interact with our dog's body systems. And the thing that what I have been trying to wrap my head around is, the way that these adaptogens and fungi work is by influencing those innate systems in our pets' bodies to function in their optimal state, in their balanced state of homeostasis. And then the downstream functions that we get of modulating these different receptors and enzymes, that's done by the body's systems in large part. Whereas with traditional pharmaceutical medicine, you're like skipping that filter of allowing the body to learn and adapt itself, and you're going right to the enzyme or the receptor and blocking this function. So it's one single target, one function, usually in one direction. Whereas these herbs, adaptogens, they are modulatory in a very flexible way and are just basically increasing communication in the body and allowing it to do what it is designed and what it is built and what it has evolved to do.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned the role of cortisol, and it was making me think of one of the things I've heard a lot recently is, like, I've heard doctors call, like, Alzheimer's, for instance, type 3 diabetes.
Yeah. Right.
And so I just found it really interesting. So when you and CBD Dog Health and MycoDog are putting together and choosing what is going to go into this formula of clarity, was that something that you were looking at?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these formulations are something that Angela has been working on for a long time. And well, we released them 3 years ago now, but up until that point, there was a ton of research and consulting with experts and trial and error and figuring out what works best, what the potency needs to be so that it actually has effects, how you need to grow them, how they need to be processed. And so a lot of care and effort went into figuring out what is the correct formulation and how to source and manufacture them so that they actually have these therapeutic properties. But so much of the work that we're finding is, I mean, a lot of the interest that we're getting as we're talking about this is from the human side, because so much human medicine and the kind of fast tracking of drugs that get into the human market is through dogs and rats and monkeys. So this, so much of it is directly applicable. And this I don't know, this type 3 diabetes things, I fail to see like a direct kind of objective correlation. I kind of understand what they're talking about, but it's just interesting to see how varied the ways it presents are. Every dog is having similar kind of overarching issues, but then different expressions of it because of how it's filtered through their personality and their behavior. I mean, a Chihuahua is going to have a very different experience of CCD than a sleepy Great Dane. It's not gonna look the same in them just based on their difference in temperament and the types of behaviors that are normal to them. Dogs that don't bark, that start suddenly are barking all the time, that become fearful, that become even aggressive, versus dogs that are having more incontinence, that are getting lost. The symptoms present so differently across the board, but it's why I'm taking these mushrooms. I want to be proactive. It's why I've got my dad on them for his cognitive decline as he gets older.
Yeah, I need to start sneaking it into my parents' meals or something.
Yeah. Honestly, I just put it in. I make cold brew for the week, and I just do my week's dosage in the jug, and then forget about it.
Talk to us again about why a liquid tincture over like a capsuled product.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a few things. It's the bioavailability of a liquid is going to be greater based on its ability to just cross that mucosal membrane. There are certain molecules in there, that certain polysaccharides that need to be digested in the gut, and that will mostly be absorbed through the lining of the small intestine. But then some of those molecules are very fine and can pass right through the mucosa in the mouth or through the digestive system. And so we just get bioavailability, we get more faster out of it. It's also about the concentration, how potent we can make it. You can take a huge amount of organic material and get it down to a very tiny liquid extraction, so that you can give a therapeutic dose in a way that's not going there, that they're not going to taste that bitter reishi that Kimberly talked about earlier, but it's just, you're going to be able to just pull out those bioactives and leave behind some of that more, bitter organic material. But then one thing that we do that is really unique is our blended tinctures are they go through a spagyric process, which is sort of this ancient tradition that really is about energetic balance, of taking the full spectrum of these different mushrooms. And so at the end, once we've extracted it with hot water, alcohol, we've evaporated all the alcohol off, so it's more palatable for pets. Then we take all that organic material and we slowly burn it down into its mineral form, into its most basic form. And then that is reincorporated into the final product. So you get this kind of beginning to end, like full cycle of it. And it is both, that kind of substantive reincorporation of the minerals and chemical constituents, but also it's an energetic practice. It's a little woo-woo. It's sort of like a hermetic alchemical process that has been practiced on different tinctures for thousands of years again. It's also just about the simplicity of the ingredients, being able to have it in, having all the ingredients that are in there have a specific purpose that is for the target, so not having to use any fillers, any synthetics, any anti-flow agents, you can have a lot of different pills and powders. In order for them to look full and for you to have a full capsule, you can have a large quantity of what goes in there be just stabilizers and fillers. And so, whenever I am looking at an ingredient list, I want to go, well, what is actually in there to benefit me, and what is in there just so that this can be stored longer, so it can be shipped easier, so that, people are going to like it. It's going to be consistent. I had to throw away a whole bunch of my supplements because I was like, okay, what are all these things aside from what I ordered in here?
Yeah.
So just being able to have it be all of the thing that we have purchased, and not a bunch of other crap that might be put in there. And specifically with mushrooms, we see this kind of rampant across the industry because so many people are producing these cheap products that will be often labeled fruiting body and mycelium, where they're just taking these like bricks of cheap substrate, oats or rice, that mushrooms grow quickly on, instead of what they naturally would or natively would, whether it be hardwood or organic soil. And they take this oat brick, which then does have the kind of the roots, the mycelium of the mushroom, and they grind that all up and they put it in a capsule or in a powder, and you're getting like 40% oats.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we don't need that, but they can say that it's mycelium and fruiting body. Then it's just, unfortunately, it requires of the consumer to be quite discerning and to have to know what questions to ask, which we're already overburdened by all the things that we need to know and keep learning. But at the end of the day, I really do think that it just kind of goes back to integrity and asking questions and making sure that the companies that you work with are there to have a dialogue with you. That when you go to their website, that you can call them, that you can message them, and that somebody who is not just like a bot or a hired salesperson is going to pick up the phone and be able to talk through things with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, we do still have to keep learning and know what are the right questions to ask.
I think it's also scary that people, what's the word? When something becomes popular, that's when you see that, because my mom will call me so proud. Actually, I had a friend do this years ago. She was so excited because she called me because she found essential oils at the grocery store. And
God.
the fact that she said essential oils at the grocery store, I was like, take them back. And she's like,
oh
what?
my
I'm like,
God,
take them
I
back.
know.
No, that's not what you wanted. And, same thing. My mom, she was like, because I told her that, I cook with MCT oil.
Yeah.
Or, avocado oil, or olive oil. And I was telling her, how much I use coconut oil in our house. And she was so excited because she went to the store and she found some sprayable coconut oil. And I was like, take it back. It's not it. And it's, I've seen to your statement about, what's in the capsule. I've seen supplements when turmeric became just a really big thing. And I would go in and I'm looking at the bottle and there's barely any turmeric in it, but there's a whole bunch of other things, but they're calling it a turmeric supplement. And it's one of those where there's so many questions. And as you said, it can be so overwhelming because it's not even just a matter of saying, well, what's in here? It's like, well, where did it come from? How was it processed?
Yeah.
Are they being honest? Because no one is out there. I mean, when it comes to supplements, no one's minding the store. So they can say whatever they want. There's a mushroom supplement on the market right now who's telling people that their mushrooms will reduce and remove tumors. And it's not to say that functional mushrooms can't do that. My concern is that the pictures that they're using, I don't believe are true. They're not shown. I think they're lying. I don't think it's honest because I'm looking at the comments and people are like, oh my gosh, my dog has a tumor and I was going to do this, but I'm just going to buy this supplement. And I'm like, no. Do you know what type of tumor that, because they're just using the blanket term tumor. And it's like, do they mean fatty tumor? Or are they talking about a cancerous tumor? But people don't know. And it doesn't occur to them. They haven't walked the miles that we've walked in this industry and, walked around Super Zoo and seen the blatant, misinformation being shared. And so they just trust that, it must be true.
Yeah. I'm such a downer. Like I'm the same way. Like my initial reaction when somebody's like, hey, I got a mushroom supplement or I got some hemp extract. You would think that I would be excited, but I know I'm like, my first question is like, well, where did you get it? It's like, and it's like, and now I'm going to have to be this like talking head, wah. And they haven't signed up for the education, but now like they're getting it. So yeah, but it's so important for mushrooms, hemp, herbs, because they are directly created from the environment and the substrates that they grow from. And hemp and mushrooms especially are powerful bioaccumulators. I mean, they have been used in places where there have been nuclear disasters to clean the soil of toxic nuclear waste. So like these natural elements are amazing. And you also don't want the mushrooms that you're feeding your dog who has cancer to have been grown, never mind at Chernobyl, but even in some place where maybe there is glyphosate on the cornfields across the way, that could contaminate the water table, that could just blow over. And really, there are a number of layers. We have to also look at what is it growing on. I mentioned the kind of rice bricks that a lot of kind of the cheaper products are made from. I mean, it can be so sophisticated, the marketing, and look really shiny and flashy. And you could be getting this chaga supplement in a really pretty, sleek bottle and not know that chaga has to be grown on these hardwood trees in the northern hemisphere, usually birch trees, which contain specific compounds that you're not going to find in rice or oats or these other substrates. And so it can be called chaga. But the difference between this chaga that was grown in northern Canada and this chaga that was grown in some dude's basement in Idaho is going to be totally different. And the kind of chasm between their therapeutic benefits can be enormous. So yeah. So, I mean, I hate to be a doomsdayer and to just make it more complex, but I, without having to learn every single detail of the manufacturing and the growing process, I think it's about using your gut and looking for the brands where your trusted resources go, where folks like Erin and Kimberly do that research and geek out and obsess. Follow the holistic vets who are educated, whose life's work this is, and see what they recommend and what they're looking at. You can go to our website. I mean, we are a brand that sells products, but we are also, like, my whole role at CBD Dog Health and MycoDog is research and education. I'm not a salesperson, and I probably would benefit our business better if I was a little bit more aggressive. But really, my whole role there is to create accessible education that is applicable whether they use our products or whether they're looking for something for their mom or their sister. Really, the end goal is greater access and making it easy to understand, because it can be so overwhelming.
Well, I mean, I've always just had so much respect and admiration for Angela and for your whole company, for how she gets so into, where is this coming from? What is this made of? I'm going to do it the right way, like the integrity, the transparency of like the certificates of analysis and all that. Like, I really feel like that's really like the gold standard. And she was kind of the first one really putting that out there.
Yeah, she is passionate about it, to say the least. Like that, she is on her beat about it. And I'm right there with her. And still, like 2 weeks ago, I got to visit our hemp farms in Colorado that are up in this like beautiful mountain plateau in the Rockies, and see firsthand how our USD organic hemp is grown. And I got to meet everybody there. I got to the soil nutritionist who brews the microbial kombucha that they use to fertilize the soil, so that when the plants go into the soil, there's already a thriving bacterial population that is going to benefit the plants that they're getting harvested at this time. There were so many moving parts, and you could just see the standards of practice in place. Even down to like the people who were working at the farm were like so happy and open. It was like mostly Mexican people who come in seasonally, but their license and the way that they are registered for these workers is through this program where the farm is required to pay them at least $20 an hour to provide them with housing, with a car, and really take care of them. And so it was like, it truly was from the ground up. Like the plot of land that we have, that is all of our plants, the rest of the people who buy from this farm, it's all human pharmaceutical. And so the human pharmaceutical standard for even an organic hemp extract just requires so many more steps of verification and safety and making sure that it is both safe and effective.
I love that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
One of the first videos I saw of yours was explaining a COA.
Oh yeah. And that was the first video I ever made.
And what's funny is that it's actually my where I go to whenever a hemp or CBD company contacts me and wants me to promote their product, and I'll go and look. And I am astounded by how many companies out there have very, very minimal information and do very minimal testing.
Yeah. Yeah. It is shocking to me. I mean, but that is one of those tells that you have there. Like, if people are being shady at all, if they are not super trained, if they don't want to show you, like, if we are excited to be like, look how hard we worked on this. And you have to look at, like, put it in their face. We want, we've spent all this money and did all this to do it. We want people to see it.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're making it even a little bit difficult for you, you got to email some info at, you got to send them a receipt. You got to, like, answer a riddle from a troll under a bridge. Like, why? Like, what are you hiding?
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny because I've seen great people who are there doing their best. And I understand that it's expensive. I explained to one company where I totally get it. It's expensive. I was like, but these are my dogs.
Yeah.
And, you know, and when there's a competitor who is providing this information, who I can trust, that I can call and talk to them and get information, they can help me with everything. I'd rather pay a little bit more money. And it's actually really not that much more money. That's what's so crazy, is that I can understand if they were selling, you know, these products for, you know, $15 a bottle, then it's like, okay, well, you get what you pay for. But no, they're at market.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I'd rather just pay money here where I know my dogs are going to be safe than take the risk. And it's like, no offense, but I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, but, like, there is this idea that it's really expensive to do these things. And once again, I think that our natural products are held to a different standard than our pharmaceutical medicine. Cause, like, say you're doing a bottle of Clarity that's $50, and that if you're using that every day is going to last you 2 months. You know, like, that's it. $50 up front is, like, can be a whoa, but when you break that down to a daily cost and the potential benefits from that, I mean, it feels like a good deal to me. And I'll, like, I don't know, I should not be giving inside secrets, but, like, our margins on our mushrooms are not great. Like, we don't make a lot of money on our mushrooms because of the way that they're grown, because it is expensive to do it right. And these, like reishi it doesn't grow fast. It's not fast, and growing it on the correct species of wood in a way that is regenerative, that is not just like a monoculture that's polluting the environment, you know, that we're using wild foraging practices that are ethical, and natural cultivators who are doing it in a way that is integrated into a farming system. You know, there's a reason that we pay for these things. And it's not just, you know, if it's not an ethical thing, then it should be a functional thing of, like, well, when they're done right, they work better, and I have to use less. You know, you can buy a cheap product, and it's, you know, you get what you paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm like, am I really, like, is this enough droppers? Like, is this that little? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, but
they said so.
Yeah.
I mean, well, and I think the thing that's really astounding is that when we are more, because this was like something that came up at Feed Real too, is just encouraging people to be more proactive than reactive. And when we're more proactive, that's another thing of when we can use less. Yeah. Because we're not we're not giving therapeutic dosages. We're just feeding our dog's system and keeping them healthy.
Yep. 100%. I mean, that's what I do with my dog, Archie. I mean, he's only 2 years old, and he doesn't need a therapeutic dose of any of these herbs. But, you know, I've got his frozen chews that I put in his little toy. And when I make a batch, there's a little bit of mushrooms sometimes, there's a little bit of CBD sometimes, and I just rotate them. And I have a low steady dose in there, just, and that I pulse and that I change, so that he's just exposed to these different things and has these gentle nudges back to balance. Mm-hmm. And that I think is ideal. This idea that as our dogs get older, that they inevitably will become decrepit and homely and in pain. I don't think that should be the standard.
Yeah.
That's not aging. That is disease. Mm-hmm. Most dogs should be able to get to their senior years, get to the age when their body's ready to go. And up until that point, be present, be mobile, be able to eat. And then when they're ready to go, they just go, mm-hmm. Not this like slow kind of downturn. I mean, I hate to like speak in this way and make it seem like it's all roses and that it's so simple, because some people certainly are listening to this that are working hard to manage something that is chronic and long term. And I don't mean to diminish that. But there's the more that we learn, I'm always saying like, my next dog, I'm going to be better. And like, yeah. Wait, no, but I have this dog. He's right here and I can do well right now.
Yeah.
But it is all, we keep learning. What is it Maya Angelou says? When you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Always be learning. That's definitely been my motto in life so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And unlearning. That's the hard part.
Yes. That's a good point also. Oh my gosh. Well, Carter, thank you so much for your time today.
I know. I could talk to you all day.
I know.
Please. I don't want to go back to work. This is so much more fun.
Well, we'll have links for everybody that'll take them to the Senior Dog Study, and of course for where they can get clarity and all the MycoDog and CBD dog health products for their dogs.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.